Hi, my name is Jasminder Sekhol, and I'm the Human Trafficking Prevention Facilitator at Victim Services of Durham Region. In today's video, we're going to be learning about human trafficking and its relation to online exploitation during the COVID-19 pandemic. We're going to be talking about online luring, the impact of the pandemic on sex trafficking, how traffickers have adapted, and what supports are available. Please note this is a heavy topic, so be sure to check in with yourself on how you feel. Please ensure you take care of yourself and reach out for supports accordingly. I'm here today with Carly Church. Carly Church is an anti-trafficking advocate, crisis intervention counselor, and a well-known speaker. She's known for her work on the issue of commercial sexual exploitation and domestic trafficking and has been a leader in helping shift the perception of trafficked girls from criminals to victims and now to survivors and leaders. Carly is a graduate of 2 college programs, including social service worker program, as well as the addiction counselor program. She harnesses her own lived experience, extensive knowledge of trauma-informed care and harm reduction, along with her passion to engage and work with survivors. Carly is the recipient of the Jennifer O'Connell Women of Distinction Award for her dedication to support marginalized women and girls. Human trafficking is an issue that's happening right here in Canada and right here in Durham Region. Domestic sex trafficking, trafficking somebody from Canada within Canada for the purposes of sexual exploitation, is on the rise. Statistics show that the average age of luring is 13 years old and the average age of being fully entrenched in human trafficking is just 17. Domestic sex trafficking can happen to anybody, including kids from what we consider to be traditionally good homes. Half the trafficked youth we support at Victim Services are still living at home with their parents while they're being trafficked. The COVID-19 pandemic has only resulted in youth feeling increasingly isolated, which makes them primary targets for traffickers to lure them online. Online risky behaviors, which commonly include behaviors such as participating in chat rooms, communicating with a stranger about sex, receiving or sending pictures, posting personal information online, meeting with people offline, and visiting pornographic websites, have all been associated with an increased likelihood of sexual victimization. Today, I'm sitting down with Carly Church to talk about what she's been seeing in terms of her clients when it comes to human trafficking. So, Carly, how has human trafficking changed since the onset of the pandemic? Has it slowed down at all?
Since the pandemic, we have not seen a decrease in human trafficking. We've seen shifts and changes in how traffickers are luring and recruiting young people, and certain aspects have changed on how people are engaging in sex work. So, some of the biggest changes we've seen is that a lot of young people are online a lot more frequently due to many closures, from schools being closed, from other safe spaces that youth are usually accessing. So we've seen an increase of traffickers luring young people on social media and different online platforms. It's very easy for a trafficker to sit behind a computer screen and reach out to multiple young people, hoping that somebody will respond. The other change we've seen is we've actually seen an increase in the amount of young people being lured and recruited into the sex trade. And again, that goes back to what I've previously talked about. A lot of young people are spending more time online and unsupervised and in unsafe environments at times. So that's where we've seen that increase as well. The other piece that's also been that's changed slightly is we've actually seen an increase in physical violence in a trafficking situation, or in fact, having to partake in more risky behaviors in order to make the exact same amount of money that the trafficker has forced them to make day in and day out previous to the pandemic. And then the last thing we've really noticed is individuals who are doing sex work independently or by choice have now been forced to do non-consensual sex work in order to make the same amount of money or to survive on a daily basis and meet those basic needs for themselves. Many different places, including clubs and massage parlors, have been shut down. And because of that, young people have disclosed that they feel they're forced to do things that they had never done before, and some of those things are hotel work.
So, Carly, you talked a little bit about this aspect of online luring. What exactly does that look like, and what do you mean by that?
Yeah, really good question. So we've actually noticed a lot of young people are spending a lot more screen time. They're online a lot more frequently during this pandemic, as a lot of schools have started to do online or virtual learning. And because of that, a lot more young individuals are online for longer periods of time during the day and oftentimes unsupervised by safe adults. So they are often in chat rooms more frequently. They might be accessing their social media more frequently. And this is something that traffickers have really noticed and they've adapted to. They are now looking for individuals who are online. They're looking for individuals who are putting their whole lives on social media. And we know that young people do this. And we know also that if somebody is vulnerable, oftentimes unknowingly, they put those vulnerabilities on their social media. So traffickers are really looking for this. And because of the pandemic, it has been a difficult time for not only young people, but everybody. And if you think about it, young people are now much more isolated. They are not able to go to school and hang out with their friends and enjoy the same hobbies and interests that they once were able to do. They're also not able to access their safe places. A lot of young people utilize school as a safe place, a place for them to learn and grow and spend time with some of their close friends who have a lot of things in common. And now they're unable to do that. So there's been an increase of young people who are struggling, who are feeling anxious and isolated and alone and quite lonely, and they're taking to social media. So traffickers are now sitting behind a computer screen and they're looking for young people, and they're looking for young people on social media. And they start that luring process by maybe commenting on a picture or in fact on a post, and really starting to get to know them and understand where those vulnerabilities are and start to fill them and start to befriend them, and be that friend that they haven't had for a while. They've been stuck inside at home, and they become that person that that young person can now confide in. So it's been a really huge platform for traffickers to now adapt to and take advantage of young individuals.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I've also seen that there's some statistics that show there's been an increase in demand for webcam pornography. We see this in the rise of websites like OnlyFans. We see this through Pornhub offering free premium subscriptions since the start of the pandemic. How has this reflected in your work?
I've actually also seen an increase of online sex work, especially at the start of the pandemic when a lot of hotels had shut down, when we were in lockdown. A lot less people were commuting along the 401 corridor, so there was less individuals accessing or easily accessing hotels. So what we really saw with some of our clients was that individuals were in fact starting to do webcam work. They were starting to send videos or pictures, and they were sending them on online platforms that are oftentimes unsafe or unsecure. And I've talked to a lot of individuals who've actually reported that, that was very traumatic for them, because that's something that now that they'll never get back. And they actually have found out that some of those videos and pictures that they've sent have ended up on other online websites, whether those are porn sites or other places. On top of that, a lot of young people started to utilize not only webcams, but they started to use OnlyFans. And that was something that started to grow significantly. So OnlyFans is really an online platform where individuals can subscribe to different people's profiles. And then the content of everybody's profiles hidden behind like a paywall. So subscribers have to actually pay money in order to access somebody's account and to see what they're posting. And it became an increase in a platform that was used for more pornographic content. And individuals were able to subscribe and request different things and request different webcam things and would pay more in order to do that. And a lot of it went to, the money was transferred electronically, which traffickers also reap the benefits from. It was much easier, again, for them to be able to put their information to access that money, so those individuals never actually got to see the money that they were earning, and forced to do certain things to get that. And so we did see a huge increase in the different online platforms where young people were forced to do a lot of uncomfortable webcam work.
So some of the places where people were traditionally doing different forms of sex work have shut down due to COVID restrictions. How have you seen this reflected in some of the individuals that you're seeing in your work?
Yeah, I've actually started to see an increase in individuals who have actually started to engage in certain sex work that they never had intended on doing. I do a lot of proactive work where I meet individuals in places that are very difficult to reach out for help. And I've met a few individuals who have disclosed that they're actually, their profession is in dancing at clubs or in fact working at massage parlors, and they've never actually felt the pressure and have never actually wanted to do sex work out of hotels. And since the closure of these different industries, they have in fact not been able to do that work and not feel safe. So they've actually been forced or pressured into non-consensual sex work. And this has been something that has put individuals at a high risk to being recruited into a trafficking situation if they are in fact working independently in the sex trade. And it has also put them into a situation where they feel as if they have to engage in risky forms of sex work where they're not prepared for, don't have a safety plan or the experience in knowing what to expect or what to do if something goes wrong. So it's actually been quite detrimental to a lot of individuals who do independent sex work for a living. And now they have to, in fact, engage in something that is not consensual as a means to survive and to meet their own basic needs.
All right, so we've talked a little bit about how, there's been changes and adaptations in terms of human trafficking, in terms of sex work during the pandemic. How have traffickers adapted during this pandemic?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we've seen how traffickers have really adapted is one is the online platform that they're now utilizing. They have really taken that to their advantage in order to recruit much younger, more vulnerable young people. They've really realized that due to the closures, especially due to the closure of school, they have now been able to really recruit some young, vulnerable people from home. The other place that they've really adapted is if you think of a lot of other young people who are quite vulnerable, maybe street involved, maybe access shelters or group homes, and those are their safe spaces. A lot of those were also shut down, or a lot of changes happened within those safe spaces. So a lot of traffickers have also taken that to their advantage, that these supports and services are not as accessible as they once used to be. So they swoop in and they start that recruitment process very quickly as offering somebody a safe place to stay, meals, friendship, safety, security. And that's a really quick in for a trafficker when somebody is struggling during a pandemic. Not only is that difficult on somebody's mental health, but if your basic needs cannot be met because of the closures of certain supports and services throughout a region, then of course you're going to take that opportunity for somebody to be there and meet those basic needs. It is in fact human nature. So that's been one big change that traffickers have really adapted to. The other big change that I think they've adapted to is again that is getting individuals to do more online sex work. And from that, not only are they still doing in-person sex work, but they're also doing online stuff. So what has really been, I've really seen is that traffickers are now forcing individuals to do more sex work. If they're not getting clientele or if they're not getting phone calls, they're forcing them then to engage in online sex work. So it's an increase in amount of sex work that is pushed upon somebody and non-consensual sex work. And then the other place that traffickers have really adapted is by doing a lot of e-transfers and money electronically. And again, that they've really reaped the benefits of because they're no longer having to meet with the individuals that they're trafficking on a daily basis to pick up that money from them. They're in fact getting that money transferred to them directly every single day.
All right, so all of this is honestly really scary to hear about and think about in terms of all of these changes and adaptations. What supports are out there for people in order to ensure that, they're comfortable, they're supported, they can leave if they want to?
Actually, at Victim Services of Durham Region, we continue to offer support to victims and survivors of human trafficking. We offer wraparound services and supports from a trauma-informed lens. We walk beside individuals. We meet them where they're at, and we really listen to their unique needs, and we connect them with the resources and supports that will effectively help them. So we've actually really worked on collaboration, especially during the pandemic. We know that not one agency can do this alone and can effectively support everybody and their unique needs. So we've really reached out and developed a lot of different pathways from many different support services throughout our region here in Durham. And it's been quite effective in order to effectively meet with individuals who are being trafficked and to work with them on the appropriate supports and services that they need, and really ensuring that they get there and they still get that support and that their basic needs continue to be met and those wraparound services are available to them. It is incredibly important for individuals to know that there is a way out if they choose that. So a big piece of what we do is we really instill that hope. You know, we meet them where they're at. We build a rapport. We listen to their needs and their wants. And we really develop safety plans and goal planning that will meet their unique needs.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Carly. We're really, really happy that you're here with us today to talk about what exactly has been going on with this pandemic and how things have shifted. If you or somebody that you know or care about is in one of these situations and you would like any type of support or you would like further education, please do not hesitate to contact Victim Services of Durham Region.